Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. The development of police in Pakistan. The development of police in Pakistan. Development of police in Pakistan. The main and more often than not the only occupation and function of police the world over are prevention and detection of crimes. Aristotle said that man, when perfected as a social being, was the best of animals, but if isolated from law and justice, he was the worst of all. There is no denying the fact that crime, through its impact on society, impairs the overall development, undermines people's moral and material well being, compromises human dignity, and creates a climate of fear and violence that erodes the quality of life. And then there was the role of the police. The Police Act 1861. The act remained applicable in Pakistan as a central law after the issuance of the Pakistan adaptation of existing Pakistan laws order dated 14th August 1947, which allowed the then existing laws of British India to remain applicable in Pakistan with necessary modifications. The Police Act 1861, the Act remained applicable in Pakistan as a central law after the issuance of the Pakistan adaptation of existence Pakistan laws order dated 14th August 1947, which allowed the then existing laws of British India to remain applicable in Pakistan with necessary modification. This order placed the superintendence of provincial police establishments in the hands of provincial governments. That is why the entire budget of provincial police establishments is borne by the provinces. The first attempt to bring about a perceptible change in the Irish type colonial police was vainly made within 6 months of Pakistan becoming a free country in 1947. Under the progressive and able leadership of Governor General Muhammad Ali Jinnah 1876 to 1948, the Sindh Assembly passed a bill 15 of 1948 in February 1948 for establishing a modern police force for the city of Karachi. Police after independence. On the stage of world, Pakistan emerged as an independent country on 14th August 1947. As no constitution was framed, so the country was governed under the Government of India Act 1935 until 1956. Within this purview, law and order was a provincial subject, although the federal government did have a policy making and coordinating role in it. Even then, there are federal police organizations. Federal police organizations. Federal police organizations. Modern police may be described as an organized body of personnel assigned to preserve good order and prevent and detect crime. The quasi-federal character of the Pakistani state envisages a coordinating and counseling role for the federal government in policy matters and even authorizes it to set up certain police organizations. At present, there are several institutions performing these tasks at the federal level. 1. Federal Investigation Agency (FIA). 2. Anti-Narcotic Force (ANF). 3. Frontier Constabulary. 4. Frontier Corps. 5. Pakistan Coast Guards. 6. Pakistan Rangers. 7. National Highways and Motorways Police NHMP. Pakistan Railways Police 8. 9. Islamabad Police, Islamabad Capital Territory. These agencies established at the federal level have cross-provincial jurisdiction throughout Pakistan over matters and offences concerning the federal government as listed in the federal legislative list. Read with Article 142 of the Constitution. These agencies are of relatively recent origins compared to the provincial police establishments. For instance, the ANF was established under the Anti-Narcotic Force Act 1997 and controls trafficking of narcotic substances. The NHMP was established in 1997 and regulates traffic on the roads designated as national highways and motorways. Similarly, offences against the interests of the federal government, such as the ones punishable under the High Treason Punishment Act of 1973, will be investigated by the FIA, which was established in 1975. The civil armed forces, including the Pakistan Rangers, the Frontier Corps, the Frontier Constabulary, the Northern Areas Scouts, also known as the Gilgit-Baltistan Scouts, and the Pakistan Coast Guards, are field organizations of the Federal Ministry of Interior. These agencies are broadly tasked with A. Securing and checking illegal border crossings. B. Preventing smuggling. C. Enforcing drug control. And D. Assisting provincial governments in maintaining law and order when requested. The leadership cadres of these agencies come from the armed forces. Provincial police organizations. Provincial police organizations. For reasons elucidated above, the traditional policing is the responsibility of the provinces. The following are the police entities that can be found at the sub-national level. Number 1. Punjab Police, Punjab Province. Sindh Police, Sindh Province. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Police, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Province. Balochistan Police, Balochistan Province. The provincial police organizations across the country have characteristics and structures similar to each other for a few reasons. First, they are all tasked with maintaining order and detecting crime. Second, major substantive and procedural criminal laws, that is, the Pakistan Penal Code, the Code of Criminal Procedure, and the Qanun-e-Shahadat order are uniformly applicable to most parts of the country. Third, the Police Service of Pakistan, PSP, which provides the bulk of senior officers to the provincial police departments, is recruited, trained, and managed by the federal government. This ensures that police leadership throughout Pakistan emerged from the same training and recruitment background. Consequently, regular police in uniform and partly out of uniform was a provincial force. Again, the provincial police administered not only provincial laws but many federal laws also. In fact, the major laws on crime and evidence were: 1. The Indian Penal Code 1860, adopted as the Pakistan Penal Code 1860. Number 2, the Police Act 1861. Number 3, the Criminal Procedure Code 1898. Number 4, the Civil Procedure Code 1908. Number 5, the Police Rules 1934. Number 6, the Fatal Accidents Act 1855. Number 7, the Motor Vehicle Act 1939. Number 8. Kanun-e-Shahadat 1872 Evidence Act. Under this act, that is the Government of India Act 1935, a central cadre known as Police Services of Pakistan manned senior supervisory posts in the provincial police as well as federal agencies mentioned above. Within the province, the central cadre hierarchy was Inspector General, Deputy Inspector General, Superintendent of Police, Assistant Superintendent of Police. Officers of provincial range and district cadres were Deputy Superintendent of Police, Inspector, Sub-Inspector, Assistant Sub-Inspector, Head Constable, Constable. Functional organization of the police. The basic territorial division in Pakistan is a district. The head of policing in every district is a district police officer, DPO, of the rank of Senior Superintendent of Police, SSP. Every district is divided into subdivision. A subdivision is the responsibility of an officer of the rank of ASP or DSP. Every subdivision is further divided into 2 or more police stations, depending on the area, population, and incidences of crime. A police station may further be divided into police outposts. Police outposts are usually provided in areas where the territorial jurisdiction of the police station is so large that it is difficult to manage policing from the location of the police station. Inspectors are usually assigned to head police stations. In that capacity, they will be known as the Station House Officers, SHO. Districts are grouped together to form a range. The DPO of a district reports to the regional police officer, who in turn reports to the PPO, Provincial Police Officer, IGP. By way of an example, there are 8 regions in Punjab, with Sheikhupura region including Kasur, Okara and Sheikhupura. The provinces of Sindh has 3 regions comprising Karachi, Hyderabad and Sakhar. Criminal Investigation Department and Counter-Terrorism Branch. Criminal Investigation Department and Counter-Terrorism Branch. This branch has 2 major wings. One specializing in the investigation of crimes like counterfeiting of currency, professional cheating, and crimes with inter-district and inter-provincial ramifications. And the other wing deals with the investigation of terrorism cases. According to a senior police official in Sindh, the focus of CIDs is in all the 4 provinces is on anti-terrorism operations, investigation of terrorism cases, and intelligence functions relating to terrorism. CIDs serve as the coordination point between federal and international agencies on the subject of terrorism. As a result, the CID branches have assumed significant importance. Investigation branch. Investigation branch. This branch serves as the investigation agency of the provincial police. It has 2 wings, crime and investigation, each headed by a DIG. The crime wing includes the Provincial Criminal Record Office, the Fingerprint Bureau, the Monitoring Section, the Press Section, the Anti-Terrorism Monitoring Cell, and the Statistical Office. The investigation wing consists of 6 superintendents of police and their investigation panels of assistant deputy superintendents of police. It is also the primary agency for the collection of crime statistics for the entire province. It analyzes the data collected and disseminates its reports on incidents, detection, and prosecution of criminals, especially in terrorism cases. It also carries out investigation entrusted to the investigation branch after a second change of investigation is ordered by the IGP. Such changes are ordered on the recommendation of a standing board comprising the DIG crime and two of the superintendents of police posted to the investigation branch. A special branch. This branch collects, collates and disseminates intelligence. Its main role is to monitor the activities of persons, parties and organizations viewed as subversive. Its duties often include number 1, collection, collation and dissemination of information on the political situation of a province as well as on matters pertaining to law and order. Number 2, maintaining records of political, student, labor and other activists. Number 3, monitoring exit control lists of government servants. Number 4, VIP security. Number 5, inspecting key points. Number 6, verification of the antecedents of government employees, private security agencies, sponsors of visas for Indian nationals and applications for Pakistani citizens. Ship. There were 3 points of entry in police, viz as a constable, assistant, sub-inspector and assistant superintendent of police. The department recruited the first 2 and the Federal Government Service Commission recruited the third. The Shahabuddin Report 1953 touched upon some questions of policing for the first time. There was fluid political atmosphere with dominant power struggle in Pakistan. So, the Constituent Assembly was dissolved and the country was placed under a state of emergency. In 1955, the 4 provinces of Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and Northwestern Frontier Province NWFP, now Khyber Pakhtunkhwa KP, were amalgamated into one unit called West Pakistan. With the emergence of one unit, the Inspector General of Police was divested of the secretariat function and all policy matters were thereafter routed through the administrative department named the Home Department. The country was able to have its constitution in 1956, which envisaged a parliamentary form of government. We also have 1951 recommendations of Sir Oliver Gilbert, IG Police, NWFT now KP on record. 5 police eras 1958 to date. Number 1, 1958 to 1971 era. Number 2, 1971 to 1977 era. Number 3, 1977 to 1988 era. Number 4, 1988 to 1999 era. Number 5, 99 onward era. 1958 to 1971 era. First era, 1958 to 1971 era. Before the first general election could be held under the first constitution, the country was placed under martial law and the constitution was abrogated on 7th October 1958. Field Marshal Muhammad Ayub Khan 1907 to 1974 became the President of Pakistan and the Chief Martial Law Administrator. His administration constituted the Pakistan Police Commission of 1960-1961 under the chairmanship of Mr. Justice J.B. Constantine. This commission justified the existing 3-tier policy of recruitment. It proposed that officers of lower ranks, such as constables and head constables, should not be allowed to investigate cases. It recommended that there should be, in addition to the police services of Pakistan, a provincial police service and a subordinate police service, and emphasized the desirability of affording opportunity of earning promotions through in-service examinations. In 1962 AD, a new constitution providing for presidential forum of government was promulgated and martial law was lifted. Muhammad Ayub Khan's administration laid emphasis upon a program of economic development with the main focus on the growth rate. Its assumption was that the economic development in Pakistan was brutally subjected to sordid process, wherein the road to eventual qualities in the distribution of income lies through initial inequalities. Politically, a system of indirect election was introduced and the key positions in all institutions of local government were given to the civil services cadre of Pakistan. The economic and political policies not only generated a sense of frustration but also made the civil service structure of Pakistan a very powerful interest vested entrepreneur that came to control even the professional departments like those of the engineering and the health. The police were politicized to the extreme level. Its result was that when a decade of reforms was celebrated in 1960 AD, a multitude of general masses rose up against Muhammad Ayub Khan's regime and the civil service structure. In 1962, constitution was annulled, a new martial law was imposed, and Yahya Khan took over as the president and chief martial law administrator. In all these years of unrest, the police had to face angry and frustrated mobs that were baton charged and fired upon under the orders of the civil servants. During this era, the Motor Vehicles Taxation Act 1958 was framed, which then led to the formulation of the Motor Vehicles Rule 1959. In suppression of the Punjab Motor Vehicles Rules 1940, the NWF Motor Vehicles Rule 1940, the Balochistan Motor Vehicle Rules 1940, and the Sindh Motor Vehicles Rules 1940, the Governor of West Pakistan formulated Provincial Motor Vehicles Ordinance 1965, which then led to the Provincial Motor Vehicles Rules 1969. During this period of Pakistan, Arms Ordinance 1965 was formulated and was implemented throughout Pakistan. Proceeding under the Provincial Constitutional Order of 1969, Yahya Khan disintegrated the one unit with effect from 1st July 1970 and restored the previous four provinces Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan and Northwest Frontier Province, now KP. The Pakistan Police Commission 1969-70 was constituted under Major General A.O. Mitha. Police Services of Pakistan composition and cadre rules were notified on 26 November 1969. These rules provided a total number of 258 posts, of which 156 were reserved for the then West Pakistan, the present Pakistan, including 98 senior posts. One third of senior posts were to be filled by promotion of provincial police officers and two-thirds were reserved for direct recruitment. The Police Commission 1969-70 made the Inspector General as the in charge of all the gazetted officers up to the rank of superintendent of police and was empowered to work without any outside interference. It recommended a fixed tenure of 4/5 years for him. It proposed a training and research wing, location of police station and establishment of criminal investigation department in each district. It emphasized the separation of investigation from watch and ward, proposed the creation of police committees in district councils and provincial assemblies with an advisory character. It recommended the creation of welfare budget, statistics wings, as special police and the manpower economy. It withdrew the various guard duties from the police. This scheme was implemented in 1970. The 1971 and 1972 batches of Assistant Superintendent of Police included undergraduates apart from regularly recruited officers who had done graduation at government expense. The defects of the scheme became apparent soon and it was done away with after 1972. This era has also the following three abortive reforms efforts in 1976. Number 1. 1976 Police Station Inquiry Committee headed by M.A.K. Chaudhary, IG Police. Number 2. 1976 Law and Order Subcommittee headed by Chaudhary Fazal Haq. Number 3. 1976 Police Reform Committee headed by Rafi Raza. The recommendation of these three committees were also not materialized. Second era, 1971 to 1977 era. 1971 to 1977 era. After the dismemberment of Pakistan resulting from the separation of East Pakistan as Bangladesh in 1971, the Pakistan People's Party assumed power on 20 December 1971 under the leadership of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto 1928 to 1979 as the President of Pakistan. Meager pay and non-recognition of the rights of association compounded with the excesses committed against police officials in the form of illegal and undue interference in their day-to-day functions. The police in Lahore, Faisalabad, then Lalpur and Sahiwal went on strike in the first week of February 1972. The strike was dealt with harshly and ringleaders were convicted under martial law regulation DSR's 21st February to 28 February 1972. In 1972, a report on police organization and reforms was submitted to the government of Pakistan. In 1973, the constitution was promulgated and it envisaged a parliamentary form of government. This constitution was the outcome of a consensus between all political groups. The administration reforms of 1973 constitution resulted in the amalgamation of all services into the All Pakistan Unified Grades and Federal Unified Grades. An occupational group called the Police Group was created. In addition to making provision for horizontal movement, it introduced the principle of later entry. Under this scheme, many army officers were inducted into the police in the ranks of superintendent of police and above and were placed senior to even the 1971 and 1972 batches. Many laymen were directly taken as the deputy superintendents of police without referring them to the Public Service Commission. In 1975, a report by Romanian experts recommended the establishment of a central police college at the federal level and a training school in each province. These recommendations were almost kept in abeyance. Third era, 1977 to 1988 era. 1977 to 1988 era. On 4th July 1977, General Muhammad Ziaul Haq, 1924 to 1988, assumed power and martial law was declared in the country. The constitution of the country was suspended by an order. The martial law administration terminated the services of all deputy superintendents of police who were recruited allegedly irregular. The federal government used to have a central reserve force known as the Federal Security Force FSF, which was disbanded in 1977 by the then martial law regime. The services of the lateral entrants from the army were, however, retained and they were absorbed in the police group. In 1978, A.J. Giles, a British expert, in his report expressed the opinion that career advancement opportunities should be built in the rank structures in order to attract educated and intelligent young men. He also suggested the development of scenes of crime experts and recommended the abolition of recruitment at the supervisory level after 10 years. Since the country was in turmoil, these opinions could not be incorporated in the right earnest. In 1981, the interference of the Services and General Administration Department in the postings and transfers of Deputy Inspector General and Superintendents of Police increased. It had adverse effects on the smooth administration of law in the country. In 1982, crime control committees were constituted under the chairmanship of the district magistrates and the assistant commissioners in districts and subdivisions respectively, with a view to hearing public complaints about the police excesses. An exercise known by the name of simplification of procedures was undertaken, wherein an attempt was made to take away more powers from the police and make the control of the district magistrate tighter. In 1982, differences arose between Home Department and the Police Department over the powers regarding promotion to the rank of Deputy Superintendents of Police, DSPs, and their postings. Matters went to the President of Pakistan, where it was decided that promotion be done by the Home Department while transfers be undertaken by the Inspector General of Police. In 1983, Chowkidara system was introduced. It failed practically because the chowkidars or watchmen so appointed were not paid in time. The row between the magistrates, the deputy assistant commissioners, and the commissioners on one hand, and the high ups in the police on the other hand, created problems. It is still a problem. On 26 October 1983, the President of Pakistan issued a police directive to a committee of federal secretaries known as 1983 Sahibzada Rauf Ali Committee, wherein the need to streamline the training of police officers was highly emphasized. In 1958, in 1985, the police cadre was redefined, updated, the prosecution was separated from the police and was placed under the Provincial Law Department. In 1985, the government of Pakistan set up a police committee under the chairmanship of Mr. Aslam Hayat to suggest measures for improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the police force. The committee was constituted in June 1985 and it submitted its recommendations to the Interior Minister on July 1985. Nothing was heard of the action taken on the suggested measures by the government of Pakistan. The 1985 Police Commission recommended that a code of ethics be devised to be embedded into the minds of all new entrants in the force and made a part of the syllabus of their training. Their recommended code is under A. Make good appearances with a clean and pressed uniform, walk erect and approach in a business-like manner. B. Be courteous, positive and firm in your statements. Ignore verbal attempt to irritate someone. C. Courtesy and control of feelings indicate strength. Rudeness, name calling, and cynicism reflect personal weaknesses avoided. D. Be patient and listen to the complaint. Treat the citizens in the same manner as you would like to be treated yourself. E. Do not become involved in a background dispute. You are the referee attempting to restore order. F. Do not ridicule or humiliate the citizen for calling the police for trifling matter. G. Do not express your private ideas when discharging your duties. H. Enforce the law, not intentions or social customs. The Central Police Cadre as Police Services of Pakistan (PSP) was revised in 1985. It needs to be brought up to date. The senior police officers in the country should be associated with this revision. Some senior posts should be upgraded to remove the blockade as well as top enhanced promotion prospects. The Inspectors General Punjab and Sindh should be upgraded as Director General in grade 22. The Police Committee 1985 recommended the formation of a cadre management and review board comprising the four provincial inspector generals, the Director General Federal Investigation Agency and the Director Intelligence Bureau under the chairmanship of the Establishment Secretary with the Additional Secretary Interior as Secretary of the Committee. It was recommended that this board should meet at least once a year to deliberate on major service problems. The 1985 Police Commission recommended that the force be made accountable through an effective and, as far as possible, foolproof system enjoying the confidence of the people. It proposed the following setup. A. Public Safety Commission. This commission, similar to the Public Safety Commission in Japan, will provide democratic control over the police at the provincial level and will ensure political neutrality of all police operations. The commission will consist of 1. Minister in charge of Home Affairs as its ex officio chairman. 2. Leader of the opposition's member. 3. 2 members of provincial government on the advice of the speaker. 4. 4 members to be nominated by the Chief Minister of the province after approval from among retired senior public administrators, eminent social scientists or academicians. And 5. The Inspector General of Police as ex officio secretary. The main functions of the commission will be 1. To inspect and report to the provincial assemblies on serious complaints of police excesses or persistent complaints of corruption against any district unit. 2. To lay down broad policy guidelines regarding service-oriented functions of police. And 3. To function as a forum of appeal for disposing of representations regarding victimization of officers refusing to obey illegal or irregular orders, if any, in the performance of their duties, except those the remedies for which are otherwise provided under law. The Commission will lay before the Assembly its report annually. This commission, it is hoped, will safeguard the interests of the citizens. It will also provide some protection to policemen against victimization, thereby increasing their interest in the profession. B. District Police Committee. B. District Police Committee. This committee shall consist of the district council chairman as its ex officio chairman and equal number of chairmen municipal committees and members of district council taken in alphabetical order. The total membership will be between 5 and 9. The committee shall meet at least once a quarter and its main function will be to bring to the notice of the district superintendent of police complaints, if any, regarding non-registration of cases and inordinate delay in finalization of investigations. The committee will also play an active role in fostering good police-public relationship. In metropolitan cities, There will additionally be another committee of which the mayor will be the chairman and councillors as the members. The membership will again be between 5 and 9. C. District Inquiry Authority. C. District Inquiry Authority. The District Inquiry Authority shall consist of district and session judge, additional district and session judge to be so nominated. It shall be obligatory on the District Inquiry Authority to inquire into all cases of rape and death in police custody. During this era, the following rules, ordinances were formulated. 1. Islamic laws 1979, Hudud laws, Qisas, Diyat ordinance and blasphemy amendments in the penal code. 2. Evidence Act 1984. During this era, the following 4 more abortive efforts were also made to streamline the police force. Number 1. 1981 Orakzai Committee on Police Welfare Promotion and Seniority Rules. Number 2. 1982 Cabinet Committee on the Emoluments of SHOs. 3. 1983 Cabinet Committee on Determining the Status of SHOs. 1983 Sahibzada Rauf Ali Committee. This was the report of the 2-member delegates visit to Bangladesh and India. Number 4. 1988 to 99 era. 1988 to 99 era. 1988 to 1999 era. 1988 to 1999 era. The government of Pakistan was to separate judiciary from the executive by 23rd March 1994 positively. That date came and went by, but no action was taken to implement the directive. The reason is that the feudal power conscious district magistrates cannot brook the ideas of an independent judiciary. Since the successive governments were in turmoil, they could not separate judiciary from the executive by the due date. But there was awareness of the needed modernization in the police services structure and functions. This era saw the following 6 efforts made to reform the police force. 1. 1989 report of the 7 members delegations visit to Bangladesh and India. Number 2. 1990 Police Reforms Implementation Committee M.A.K. Chaudhary. 3. 1995 report of the United Nations Mission on Organized Crime in Pakistan. 4. 1996 report of the Japanese police delegation on the police system in Pakistan. 5. 1997 Committee on Police Reforms under the chairmanship of Interior Minister. 6. 1998 report of the Good Governance Group on Police Reforms Committee Vision. During this era, the following rules ordinances were formulated. 1. Accumulation of Unlawful Arms Act 1991. 2. Special Anti-Terrorist Act 1992, Special Courts Act. 3. Control of Narcotic Substances Act 1997. 4. Terrorism Act 1997. 5. Anti-Narcotic Force Act 1997. 6. National Accountability Bureau Ordinance 1999. Needs of modernization. As speed and sophistication in the patterns of crime increases and as interprovincial and international links of crime and criminals develop day by day, qualitative improvement in techniques of prevention, investigation and detection with the aid of modern technology and science becomes imperative. Such technology is also needed for providing convincing evidence in the law courts. So it was realized that a modernization program for police in Pakistan has to cover the following fields. Number 1, communications. Number 2, transport. Number 3, weaponry. Number 4, forensic science. Number 5, computerization of records. Efficient communication system plays a vital role in the police working. Although wireless and teleprint communication systems exist in provinces, these systems do not yet reach all the police stations and interprovincial networks do not exist. Nor is there wireless communication between the center and the provinces. Similarly, fax network, invaluable in police work, has yet to be introduced. And there is no system of distress telephones in cities or on highways. Mobile patrols in cities have wireless sets, but foot patrol have no walkie-talkie sets and are therefore incommunicado once they are out of the police station. Every province has a fleet of transport, but considering the speed with which criminals of today move, it is inadequate. It is necessary that every police station, urban and rural, should have appropriate transport. Every subdivision police officer should have a jeep car. District superintendents and higher officers likewise. Criminals of today have acquired the latest weapons. Police needs comparable, if not better weapons to cope with the criminals. There is a paucity of forensic science laboratories in the country. Even the existing ones are deficient in modern equipment and techniques. To cope with sophisticated crimes, it is imperative that A. There should be more laboratories, say one in each district. And B. That these laboratories should have the latest state of the art equipment and be manned by scientists with up to date knowledge. It is need of the day that a separate wing of forensic science is added to every provincial training school where the subject is taught by knowledgeable teachers. Medical legal work is also very elementary in Pakistan. The best that our medical experts do in herd cases at the moment is to determine the blood, whether it is that of the humans or of the animals. They do not determine the blood group. No facility exists to examine hair, skin, or other finer material recovered from a scene of occurrence, a dead body, or from the person of the accused. In short, we are way behind in medical legal work which needs to be updated. Fingerprint records needs to be computerized and made available to every police station on a computer network. Crime and criminals records by description, modus operandi, etc. should likewise be on the computer network. The crime records from police stations should travel upwards to districts, provinces, and the center of the national data bank. Nothing of this sort exists in Pakistan that could be used for determining the root causes of the crime. Notwithstanding these many attempts to reform, the legislative approach to better policing did not change much until the Police Order 2002 was promulgated by General Pervez Musharraf and given protection under the Constitution 17th Amendment Act 2003. 1999 onward era. 1999 onward era. The Police Ordinance 2002 has been introduced in the country to reconstruct and regulate police. It replaces all other ordinances regarding policing in Pakistan. The draft police ordinance has been initiated by National Reconstruction Bureau NRB after considerable deliberations on the proposed police constitution. The ordinance is part and parcel of the devolution plan launched by the Musharraf government. The new ordinance carries a lot of weight in the sense that it is containing many potentially successful policing concepts provided they are put in practice. It has, in fact, revamped the whole policing organization and management. The ordinance proposes separation of investigation, prosecution, and watch and ward as independent policing function. How will it work will depend upon its results. Thus, Policing in Pakistan is at the critical juncture in the evolution process. The sudden overhauling has been a trouble as the infrastructure is not ready for the launching. The introduction of new concepts needs proper training for their understanding and implementation. The policing started developing on totally different lines. Although the entire period in the history of Pakistan after independence 1947 did not bring any significant positive development in the policing, it has remained overshadowed by struggle of supremacy between police chief and district magistrate. The police were used as state machinery to get things by threat of force and have forcibly been made a politicized agency. Under 1956 AD, until 1956 AD, no constitution was framed and the country continued to be governed under the Government of India Act 1935. The Shahabuddin Report of 1953 touched upon some questions of policing, but in the fluid political atmosphere with dominant power struggle running in the country, the Constituent Assembly was dissolved and the country was placed under a state of emergency. The Pakistan Police Commission 1960-61, Police Commission 1967 to 70, Police Organization and Reforms 1972, and Police Ordinance 2002 have transformed the police structure with numerous suggestions and modifications. Women in the police. Women in the police. Historically, women in Pakistan police have had limited influence. Dating back to the British Raj, recruitment of women into policing was exceedingly rare. For instance, seven temporary female constables and a head constable were inducted for a short period of 1939 to help contend with female agitators that were part of a farmers' movement in Punjab. The number of women police did not rise significantly until 1952 when 25 constables, 2 head constables and an ASI were recruited. Little changed until 1994 when former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto established the first ever women-only police station in Rawalpindi. The Rawalpindi Range then DIG Dr. Mohammad Shoaib Sadal has stated that the establishment of the exclusive police station was a response to the increasing incidents and complaints of police excesses against women arrested or investigated by male members of the department. Therefore, all cases involving women were to be dealt with by the women's police station. The female staff of the first ever women's police station in Rawalpindi included an inspector, 2 sub-inspectors, 1 ASI, 2 head constables and 13 constables. The Bhutto administration proceeded to create women-only police stations in Abbottabad, Peshawar, Lahore, Multan, Karachi and Ladkana. However, the intention to do so in every city of Pakistan was never realized because the government was dismissed in November 1996. In terms of performance, the women's police station in Peshawar had not registered a single case until 2004, whereas the one in Abbottabad had registered 400 cases by that time. However, the Abbottabad police station along with the other all-women police station were stopped from registering cases in 2002. A study revealed that women police officers were not allowed to register FIRs by senior ranking male officials of the department. Although women-only police stations have comprised the main element of gender parity in Pakistan policing, the situation appears to be slowly changing. Women will shortly be inducted into specialized training programs for anti-terror squads. The history of Punjab Police and Sindh Police is traced out below. History of Punjab Police. History of Punjab Police. The system of policing in Mughal India was organized on the basis of land tenure. Zamindars were responsible for apprehending disturbers of the public peace and performing other policing duties. At the level of the village, these functions were performed by the village headman. In large towns, administration of the police was entrusted to functionaries called kotwals who discharged the combined duties of law enforcement, municipal administration, and revenue collection. Patrol officers in the shape of village watchmen or patels in villages and peons, horse patrolmen, and such other like men in the towns were present. Violent organized crime was usually dealt with by the military. The British administration relieved the zamindars of their responsibility for police service and introduced magistrates with darogas and other subordinate officers for police purposes. In Madras, the system of darogas was abolished by Madras Regulation 11 of 1816 and the establishment of tehsildars was employed without distinction in revenue and police duties. A similar system was put in place in Bombay by Bombay Regulation 12 of 1827. In Bengal, the system of darogas was not abolished due to the absence of the subordinate revenue establishment, but their powers were curtailed in 1811 by taking away some of their powers of cognizance. In Bengal, special control was introduced in 1808 by the appointment of Superintendent or Inspector General for the division of Calcutta, Dhaka, and Murshidabad. In 1810, the system was extended to the divisions of Patna, Bareilly, and Banaras. However, with the appointment of divisional commissioners, the office of the superintendent was abolished. The next major change in the organization of police took place in the Sindh, where Sir Charles Napier, drawing inspiration from the Irish constabulary, developed a separate and self-contained police organization for the province. The Sindh model was put into effect in Bombay in 1853 and in 1859 in Madras. In Punjab, the police was also organized on the pattern of Sindh but with two main branches, the military preventive police and the civil detective police. As this arrangement was not found to be satisfactory, so in 1860 the government of India urged the government of Punjab to look into the system of policing then prevalent in the provinces. However, as the issue was of general importance, the central government appointed a commission to inquire into whole question of policing in British India. The Police Commission of 1860 recommended the abolition of the military arm of the police, the appointment of an Inspector General of Police in the province, and the placement of police in the district under the district superintendent. The commission recommended that only the district magistrate should exercise any police functions. Based on the recommendations of the commission, the government of India submitted a bill which was passed into law as Act 5 of 1861. The Police Act of 1861 was adopted by all the provinces except Bombay, where a District Police Act was adopted in 1890. The Bombay District Police Act continued to remain in force in Sindh till the establishment of the one unit. The organizational design that followed the act survives to this day. Police became a subject to be administered by the provinces that were divided into police jurisdictions corresponding with the districts and the divisions. The police were made exclusively responsible for prevention and detection of crime. In the maintenance of public order, they were responsible to the district magistrate. The Punjab Police Rules of 1934 documented the police practices as they stood at that time and introduced some new measures for improving administration and operational effectiveness of police. The content of the rules reveals that the Punjab police had grown into a thoroughly professional police organization by 1934 and possesses considerable knowledge of the crime and criminals in the province. It had developed effective procedures and practices for dealing with various kinds of criminal activity. The administrative and disciplinary functions were also elaborated. The rules have served as the model for similar sets of rules in other provinces of Pakistan and are still in force today. The Punjab police played a significant part in handling the refugee crisis of 1947-48. It continued as a separate organization till 1955 when it was merged with the police of other provinces to create the West Pakistan Police. There were several attempts to review and reform police organization and performance during the 1950s and 60s, which, however, could not be implemented. The legal framework of the police underwent a major change as a consequence of devolution of power plan. The devolution of power plan called for the devolution of the authority of the provincial government to the districts and the introduction of public accountability of the police. In line with the devolution of power plan, the office of the district magistrate was abolished in 2001 and a system of public safety commissions was introduced. These changes were incorporated into a new police law which was promulgated in 2002. Apart from public safety commissions, the Police Order 2002 also provided for a professional police complaints authority, increased powers for the Inspector General of Police, and separation of the watch and ward and the investigation functions of the police. The question of policing has been the subject of much debate before and after independence, and a number of committees were formed by various governments for the purpose. Some of the more important commissions and committees are as follows. Number 1. Select Committee of 1832. Number 2. Police Commission of 1860. 3. Police Commission of 1902. 4. Lumsden Committee of 1926. 5. Police Commission of 1961 under Justice J.B. Constantine. 6. Pakistan Police Commission of 1969 under Major General A.O. Mitha. Next Police Station Inquiry Committee of 1976 under M.A.K. Chaudhary. Next, Police Reforms Committee of 1976 under Rafi Raza. Next, Police Committee of 1976 under Aslam Hayat. Next, Police Reforms Implementation Committee of 1990 under M.A.K. Chaudhary. Next, Punjab Government Committee of 2001 under Shehzad Hussain Parvez. Next, Focal Group on Police Reforms of 2000. Completed list of Inspector General of Punjab since 1861. Completed list of Inspector General of Punjab since 1861. Major General G. Hudson 1861, Major General J.W. Young Husband 1863, Major General J.M.C. Andrew 1871, Major General J. Hutchinson 1871, Major General J.W. Young Husband 1874, Major General H.N. Miller 1876, Lieutenant General Hamblind 1876, this onward, and History of Sindh Police. History of Sindh Police. On the pattern of the colonial Irish constabulary, Sir Charles Napier established a police system in Sindh in 1843. The British Army officers closely supervised and controlled forces which were resultantly more disciplined, efficient, and not corrupt. Influenced by the success of Napier's police, the Court of Directors of the East India Company suggested that a common system of police be established on the pattern of Irish constabulary. The British India government set up a police commission headed by Mr. H. M. Court in 1860. One of the policy directives of the Public Commission of 1860 was that though the duties of the police should be entirely civil, not military. The organization and discipline of the police should be similar to those of a military body. The present police system in our country has been established under this charter. Provincial police officers, Sindh. The following represents as the provincial police officers in Sindh: Sayyid Kamal Shah 2002 2005, Asad Jahangir 2005 2005, Jahangir Mirza 2006 2007, Niaz Ahmad Siddiqui 2007 2007, Ziaul Hassan Khan 2007 2008, Azhar Ali Faruqi 2008, Dr. Mohammad Shoaib Sadal 2008, SS Babar Khatak 2008. Inspector General of Police Khwaja Masroor Hassan 1970. Habibur Rahman Khan, very renowned name, Habibur Rahman Khan 1977. Okay. इस तरह ऑल आज सैयद कमाल शाह का भी 2002. Others में okay. The history of police development in Pakistan is replete with turmoil, proposals, suggestions, changes and modifications, and is still fraught with Police Ordinance 2002 compounded with numerous modifications.